Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Merry Christmas to you all. It is the 1st of December and our festivities are starting off as they always do with our 12 Days of Christmas promotion. And today it is a great day if you love colour. Joining me on today's show, and I promise you they're going to be fantastic demos, it's Cat Hollis.
Good morning.
And look, Mrs. Claus has come to town for Christmas.
I fancied a change.
It looks so good.
Thank you.
We all love it here. I'm sure you will all love it as well. But let's get on with the show today because to celebrate Christmas, like I said, we are doing offers every single day. And on the first day of Christmas, Hunkydory gave to me up to 75% off selected Prism products. So before we get into it, and before we have a look at all the amazing deals, let's have a look at the Win It Weekly. Okay, so this week's question is a good one, and you are going to be in with a chance of winning the full collection, the Holly Jolly initials and coordinating stamp set. You're going to get 24 initials, the ampersand die, and this full stamp set included. It's incredible. There's going to be two winners. We're going to announce it on Friday, but there's a question you have to answer to be in with a chance of winning, and this week that question is the below. Which company is the largest toy distributor in the world? A. McDonald's, B. Smith's, or C. Hamleys? A little bit of a trick question, I feel here. A little bit of a trick question. Lots and lots of people were guessing on Monday's show. So yeah, I think maybe you have to think about the way it's worded for this one.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a,
yeah.
It shocks you. It really does. So like, share and comment on the video below or on any video this week. Also, you can do that on the hub to be in with a chance of winning those dies. Right. So let's get straight into it because this show is filled with amazing products and we're going to show you just how you can use them in your crafting. So first of all, I'm going to show you the Prism craft markers and handbook bundle. This is a crazy deal. So you're going to receive all 14 of these incredible craft markers. These are an alcohol-based marker, and you're also going to receive the crafting handbook that goes with it. Look at that price. This was supposed to be £149.85. Now, £69.93. That's an incredible saving on these pens, and these pens are amazing. They're probably my favourite to colour with out of all of our Prism products, and I've got one here to show you exactly what you're going to get. So all of our pens come in this really nice ergonomic triangle shape, which means when you're colouring for a really long time, if you're someone that is really into their colouring and takes their time while doing it, it's comfortable on your hand. It doesn't fall off or roll about when you put it on the side. You've also got two ends to your pens. So we have the chisel tip end, which is a really thick end, which we use for maybe if you're creating backgrounds or you colour in larger shapes or blocks. With this, we would use your chisel tip end, but then for all your finer detail, adding textures, dimension to your colouring as well, we also have that really fine nib tip, which works beautifully. They are alcohol based. You should store them flat. Someone actually messaged me on Facebook to say how should you store them, and the best way is always flat, and that is because you do have the two ends to your pen, which means that when they're stored this way, the pigment sort of inside sits really nicely and it's equally distributed between both ends. If you have them upright, obviously you're going to get loads of colour if you colour in with one side, but not as much on the other, so always store them this way. The handbook, as all of our handbooks, are a really good insightful tip on how to use these and how to get the best out of them. And my favourite page, I think, has to be this page, because I think, and I am giving you a sneak peek here, this is something that when you're colouring people always struggle with. It's how to get the right sort of tones in skin colour, in hair colour, and there's tutorials inside this on how to do that. There's also some really cool makes and things behind too. So that is our first offer of our day 1 of our 12 days of Christmas. It's our Prism craft markers and handbook, the complete collection. Look at that price. This, if you wanted to treat yourself for Christmas, is one of those gifts, because when this goes back to normal price, that is a massive price to pay on something like this. But £69.93 is a little bit more reasonable, but I can promise you won't be disappointed with these pens. Kat,
Yes.
what do you love most about these pens?
Oh, I just love everything about them. They are so blendable. They give you such a good finished coloured result. They're so much fun to play with, whether you're doing something really simple or something more complicated. I love them just for edging the sides of my cards,
Yeah.
for colouring your ribbons, for colouring your gemstones.
I forgot about things like that.
They're so
They're really versatile, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really versatile. So let's go back to Kat, because she's going to do a demo with these pens and show you exactly how you can create some phenomenal colouring with them.
Okie dokie. So I am taking our little sloth that was from our Christmas pun dies.
I love this Christmas.
He is one of my favourites of this year. So I'm just going to ink him up with some Memento ink, because that's the best one to use when you're using your alcohol markers, because you won't get any bleeding.
No, and that's really important, I think.
Yeah.
I think not only having the pens, having the handbook to show you how to use these, but also having the right tools when you're colouring and stamping is massively important, for that reason that we want you to get the best out of them. So always use a water-based ink pad if you can. You can use our Prism ink pads as well to stamp with and then colour over the top if you wanted to not have that outline in your stamps. Memento is a perfect ink to use. Stays on as well. Stays on will sort of, because it is to use on all sorts of mediums. Stays on will sort of discolour your stamp a little bit. However, if you want to colour and stamp on acetate, so you want to do like a stained glass effect, yes, because you can use your alcohol markers on those, then that would be the ink pad to use. Your Stays On. So Stays On, Memento, or any water-based ink pad will work perfectly with these.
Okay, so I've just taken a piece of Ink Me cardstock and I've cut it down just to 1/4 inch under 8 by 4 inches. And I've stamped my sloth 3 times, starting with the middle, and I've placed him centrally, and then I've gone to the top and just placed him to the left and to the bottom and come over to the right. So you get that diagonal effect going on your card. So I'm going to switch this over now, and I'm going to switch to my VersaFine ink to do my lettering. You could state it the same, I just think you get a slightly crisper
I agree
look.
with you there. I agree with you massively. I think colouring in and on places where you're going to be adding that craft marker,
yeah,
with that alcohol sort of included,
yeah,
use an ink pad. But for your sentiments stamping like this, then VersaFine, it's true, it gives you such a clean, crisp application.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I'm just going in with the Let It, and then I love the little pun for this one is Let It Slow. So I've gone with that Let It Slow, Let It Slow, Let It Slow theme. And I've just placed them to the top of each of our little sloth designs. We're just going to line these up.
It's so nice. This is such a great stamp set as well. We've got a number of these pun stamps available on the website, and they are currently £2.99. So we have, I think in total there was 10 different designs, all Christmas related. We also have some for everyday occasions as well. So if you're someone who likes to send those punnier cards, those funnier cards, those cards that make people laugh when they open them inside, then our pun stamps are definitely one for you.
Okay, so now to add a little bit of colour, but I'm not going in with my colouring yet. Also on here, you get this tiny little snowflake. So I'm going to pop that on another acrylic block, and I'm going to go in with my Prism Shimmer ink in Periwinkle.
This is a good colour.
It is great for snow and ice and that kind of thing. And we're just going to dot this randomly all over the card. and it might look a bit crazy at the moment, but I promise you it will all come together. And I think it's a great example with this as well, how you can make larger cards with this stamp set. When you see them, they do look so tiny.
They are super
and you
tiny.
think you're going to be limited to smaller cards, but you're not at all. You can do lots and lots with them. So, plenty of little snowflakes all over. Do a couple off the edges. And I'm going to leave my ink pad open, and I'm going to come in with my blendy tool. And we're going to ink up all around the edges to give it that snowy and icy effect. I'm just going to get myself a little bit of scrap to go underneath here. And we're going to bring this colour all the way around the edge.
And I think this is quite a good technique that you're showing here, Kat, because when you stamp and when you blend in the same colour, you do have a difference in the amount of colour, the density of colour. So you can see now what you're doing is, even though you're creating this really nice effect and you're giving the edge of your card this sort of really frosty look, you can still see those snowflakes that you've done on the edges, because the amount of colour that goes down when you do stamp in your colour and you blend in your colour is completely different.
Yeah, you're not going to lose anything. So that just gives that nice frosty edge round there. And just to finish off, before I start my colouring, I'm going to take my fine line brush marker in black, and I'm just going to do a fine pen border all around the edge just to help it pop a bit. And I love using this detail when you've got lettering that matches it, or that kind of style stamp. It just really makes your card pop.
All of the items that Kat's going to be using throughout all of her demos today are all included in our fantastic 12 Days of Christmas promotion. Day 1 is all about Prism, so our ink pads, our brush markers, our craft markers, our watercolour pencils, they're all going to be featured on today's show, and they're all on incredible deals for you.
And now we've done that, I'm just going to switch it out, and I've started colouring
Look
one,
at
and I'm going to
that.
finish it off for you today. So we'll just switch that out.
Oh my gosh, this looks amazing.
So I've got a selection of colours here that I've already used, and I'll go through them as we go. So I'm going to start.
He just pops off that card, doesn't he?
He's so cute, isn't he? And I'm going to go in with warm grey one to get my base colour down all across my little sloth.
So when you're colouring with these pens, Kat,
Yes.
as like a basis, and you're creating sort of like shape and dimension to your characters,
Yeah.
do you always start this way?
Usually I start light and work my way up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the best way to do it personally, because you can always add colour, but you can't as easily take it away.
No.
So I think starting off with that lighter shade, filling out the whole of your sort of image, and then going in with your other colours.
And then you'll see with this one, I'll go over all in a pretty solid colour of this shade, and then I'll go in, take a dark shade and add in some depth, and then go back to this one to blend the colours into each other.
And that's what's a great thing about these Prism craft markers, is that they're blendable together. A lot of other markers that are alcohol based, you will have a blending pen, so it will be a pen which you use to mix your colours together. With our craft markers, and what's very different to others out on the market, is that they blend seamlessly by just using one colour with another colour, by going over and adding in that lighter colour, creating that really nice mix. You don't have to use a blending pen. We do have a colourless blender in our set of pens. They are in our lighter shade, our pastel selection. Our blender is in that, and it is number 0. However, our blender sort of acts as like an eraser, which I think is really clever as well.
Yeah.
So if you do go over the lines, you make a mistake, you want to remove colour, then using the blender is the best for that.
So I've then gone in and I've just picked up some high points with the warm grey 3, and that now looks a bit crazy, but I'm going to go back with my warm grey 1 and start blending these two colours into each other.
You can see it already looking amazing. And you've still got that light, sort of like the direction of light coming where you've not blended across.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, your colour will sit on top of your original colour as well, so you'll get different depths of the base colour as well. So you get lots and lots of texture and definition in. And you can go over our Ink Me card, take these pens so well that you can just keep going and going. You're not going to get any damage to your cardstock.
No, it's not going to sort of buckle or come up.
You just keep building up.
Oh, he looks amazing already.
Texture and stuff that you want. Just keep going over where you want that definition. If you want it to blend in a bit more, just keep going and pulling the colour through and down. There we go. And just like that, you've only used 2 shades, but you've got a real depth of effect. So let's go in and do his little face. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to start with the warm grey 3, just to darken this part up. And these alcohol markers, they look sometimes like they're going to be too thick to do some of your finer detail, but they act really well to a soft touch.
I think so.
So as long as you go in very lightly with them, you can get them into all those little precise areas. And then I'm just going to go over this again with my warm grey. And this is where I've done it the other way round. I've gone with my darker colour first, and now I'm just going in with the lighter one just to take away a little bit of the darker colour, and it will just bleach it out a little bit. And I'm just going to go around the eyes again just to give them a little bit of depth. And I'm going to go in with our warm grey 5 for his little claws coming over the branch here.
Gina said, I love watching the characters come to life as you colour them in. And it's so true, especially I think colouring sort of characters or people or little images like this, the best sort of product to use, I think, is your craft markers, because it does give you that dimension, that depth, and it brings them to life so much better than other colours. I think it takes a lot longer to sort of manage and work out how you can do this with other products, but it's really easy to do it with our craft markers.
So I've just gone in with my warm grey 7 and added some depth to the top of his claws and just coloured in his little nose. So I'm going to go on to my little branch now. So I've got 542 and 543. We're just gonna, this is just going to give me a base colour now. It is quite similar to the colour of our little sloth, but once I go over with the next one, it will just come to life and make it a bit more, stand out a bit.
And you can do that as well, can't you? You can add a colour, not as sort of like definition, but straight on top of another one, and it changes the look completely.
Yeah, you can build up 2 colours to get a colour that you've not already got in your set.
Wow, it's incredible.
There we go. Right, let's move on to his little hat. So I'm going to start with 513, and we're just going to colour the top of his hat all over.
If you've not used our craft markers before, you'll be thinking there's lots of numbers to remember here, to work out. But once you've started using them, and once you use them quite a lot with your colouring, you'll get to know the basics of the colours that are going to give you the sort of effect that you need. So I think these 2 are my go-to for when I'm colouring anything in red. I'll always use these 2 colours.
Yeah, so I've now just going over and I'm hitting just some points with the 520, and then just for a little bit more depth I'm going in with 538, which on the face of it, again,
It's
look
a
at
really
that, you
dark
don't,
cherry colour,
yeah,
isn't it?
you don't think red, but once you add it to your other reds, it just gives you that.
And that is a really good point to make as well. When you do get these craft markers home, we have on our website a printable colour chart. I would hugely recommend printing that colour chart out, adding all of your colours on, because then you'll get to see the true colour that is going to come out when you colour in, because there is nothing worse than being at the end of a project and going to think, you know what, this colour will work, and it doesn't.
No.
It's not the right tone, it's not the right shade, but with our printable chart, you know, because you've already tested them all out, they're there for you in the true form, what these colours are going to look like.
So I've just gone in with my neutral one just to add a little bit of definition to the fur and the bauble, because they do, if you just leave them stark white, they do stand out a bit more. So I've just dotted some colour on, like I'm doing with this light blue here in the snow, just to give it that reflective look. And this is shade 461. And what I also love to do with this, just to make it pop a little bit more, is outline the whole of the stamp.
Yep.
So I'm going to go in and we're just going to colour in these bits because they're a bit too fine just to outline. So we'll colour them in. And then I'm just going to use this pen now to trace round the outline of the black of the stamp all the way around. And again, I think doing this really, really does make it pop and come to life.
It just lifts the colour even more
really
off that
does,
white
doesn't it?
background. It's such a good demo. And I think you've shown so many different techniques as well, just in this short space of time, of, you know, your alcohol markers, how to get the best shading and definition, the tricks with the blending and the stamping in the same colour.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. It's so cute. It's definitely getting me into the Christmas spirit.
Is it getting you into the spirit? So I've taken an 8-inch card blank and I've cut it down to an 8-inch by 4-inch temp fold, and we're just going to pop this on some foam pads.
We've got a question. Andrea says, do you find it easy to keep the colour in the lines? As some of the pens I have are so hard to keep it in the lines and they tend to bleed out. So the best thing I would always suggest, Andrea, is to not go super close up to the line.
No.
Maybe keep your pen, say, 2 mil, 1 mil away from the lines that you're colouring in, because you know it is going to bleed out, it's going to fill out your cardstock. So if you keep it away a little bit, let it sort of settle, and then if there is any bits where you've got white space, then go over a little bit closer to fill those out. But I always find that's the best and easiest way to know that you're not going to have your colour bleeding out.
And if you do, there are little things you can do. Like you said before, we've got our colourless blender, so you can use that just to pop it on the spot and try and take away a bit of the colour.
Takes off
if
the
it's
colour,
really
remove
intense.
it away.
And my other go-to is a white gel marker pen.
Yes,
Just
very true.
to colour over any little bits that
I
have
love
gone
this.
out of place.
It's so cute.
And there we go.
Absolutely
Let it slow,
adorable.
let it slow.
Very cute. And if you want to be making adorable cards like that, then you need to get this deal today. And it's gonna, the deals that we're showing you today are going to last up until day 12 of our 12 days of Christmas. So you have 12 days to maybe mull it over, think about it, but these are while stocks last. So if you want to get this deal at this incredible price, then make sure you're getting it over the next 12 days. We don't want you to miss out. It's our Prism craft marker and handbook complete collection. All of this right here for £69.93. Okay, next up is our brush markers. Now our brush markers are kind of like completely the opposite of our other markers. So here you're going to get all 4 sets and you're going to get your handbook. So we've got the Forest Walk, Blue Lagoon, we've got the Berry Burst and the Heavenly Sunset. Now if I turn these over, you can see just the incredible range of colour that you're going to receive in these 4 packets. And look at that price. This is under £30. £30 for our Prism brush marker collection and that amazing handbook. Now, one thing that we always say when we bring out these pens on this incredible deal is, again, you need to use the right product, and the right product for colouring with these pens is our premium watercolour cardstock. These pens, just like the craft markers, you have two ends and they again are triangular, so they're perfect for colouring in. You've also got these kind of like gills on the ends, which I really like, especially when I have long nails, because I can sort of like get my nail in the edge and then I know I'm getting really precise colouring. They have a brush marker nib on one end and then you have your fine liner on the other. This is exactly the same colour, so if you've got really fine details that you're wanting to hit to, you can use your fine liner and you know it's going to match up. It also helps with if you're doing sort of really fancy things like Zentangling, you're going to be able to use your fine liners, and you've got a massive range of colours like you can see here. The brush nib on your pens is a perfect size and sort of thickness. It's not too thin that it's going to sort of like flop over, but it's perfect for anyone who wants to try out sort of like calligraphy, because it gives you those beautiful really thick strokes when you're putting a lot of pressure on and you're sort of colouring downwards, but then when you go back up it gives you a really fine end to it, and that is because of the sort of way that this tip has been designed. It's perfect for that. It's also really good for people who don't necessarily want to do super crazy colouring like you saw with the craft markers. If you want to do more sort of basic, just filling in one side, you can do. But another great thing about these brush markers is that they're water-based, and water-based means that if you add water to it, it's going to sort of dilute the colour, which means you can get so sort of techniquey with these pens, which is something you can't do with your other craft markers. So they are completely different in that range, and I at first I wasn't a massive fan of these, I will say that, because I'm so in love with our craft markers, and it's taken me a while to get my hand around how to get the best out of these, but I think I've kind of got there now. I'm not the best, but I'm getting there, but they are a great product. And now for £29 you can have that whole collection and your handbook, which, if like me you think, I've never used these before, how am I going to get the best out of them, then your handbook is a perfect place to start, because it's going to teach you everything you need to know. Again, you've got a downloadable chart, which is really quite clever as well, because it's split into two sections, so you can put your colour down and then you can bring it out with your watercolour, and you can see how the different shades are going to work together. You've also got some really good hints, tips, techniques running throughout this, including a little guide into sort of like the basic calligraphy and how to sort of get the best out of that. So that is our second deal of the day, the Prism Brush Markers original collection. It's now £29.95. What are we going to do next, Kat?
I was going to use something else.
Was you?
The watercolour pencils.
You're going to use the watercolour pencils. Well, you know what?
Do you want to show them first?
Let's show them first as well, because we do have them on the show too. If you love watercolouring, just like how you can do with these pencils, with the pen, you're going to get more of a sort of really sort of darker, more vibrant colour to your watercolouring. But maybe you want a really loose effect, then our next offer for you is our Prism watercolour pencils and handbook bundle. In here you're going to get 48 watercolour pencils. They come in this really cool caddy and this little wrap around, which means they are so easy to take away with you and sort of like craft on the go. You've also got a really handy pocket here which fits perfectly in your water brush trio. You can fit in a rubber in here, you can add your pencil sharpener, so you've got everything you need for on the go crafting. They are an amazing pencil. Again, all you have to do is you can colour with them really simply as you would with any other medium, or if you use your water brush you can bring these out and create some really nice effects with them. There's so many techniques as well that I don't think people realise you can do with these, and again they are all inside your super handy handbook. It's our crafting handbook volume 2. everything you need to know about our watercolor pencils are inside here. So many tricks, techniques, different ways to color, different ways to get the brightness of your color, different techniques you can use, different ways and mediums to use with these. Another amazing handbook which is going to teach you everything you need to know about how to use these. £22.99 today, £22.99. An amazing gift for someone this Christmas.
Yeah.
Someone who's just getting into sort of crafting or colouring, or someone who's really into art, then these are a great gift to give to someone this Christmas. Okay, so you're going to use your pencils.
I am going to use the pencils.
And what are we doing with our pencils?
We are going to use the pencils today to create a watercolour background effect that we're going to stamp over the top on.
Oh, I like this.
Okay, so I have got some of our premium watercolour cardstock. I'm going to cut this down to, what we're going to cut it down to, 3 notches under the 7 inches.
Okay, so got some questions to answer. One of them, Jan has said the colourless blender Kat has just mentioned. I can't find it online, please help. The colourless blender is included in the pastels selection of pens, so it's included in that 6th set of pens. However, you get it included if you buy the bundle. It's in one of your 6 sets. It is the pastel set that you'll be able to find. And then quickly before you go on, Kat, Emma says, is there a red in those Prism brush markers? There is 2 different reds. 001 Salsa is the best red.
Yes, yeah. They don't look particularly red on the cat, but they are red when you colour them.
They really, really are.
Don't be fooled. Okay, so speaking of reds, I'm going to do a poppy card using our layering stamp. So I want to create a nice watery reddish kind of background.
Okay.
So I've just picked 3 shades that are all reddyish, and we're going to blend them all together. So we're simply going to start just by lightly shading over little lines on our cardstock.
And there is so many different ways in which you can create sort of like darker tones to it. You can create lighter elements.
Yeah.
Just by the way you hold your pencil. It's crazy,
absolutely.
Isn't it?
And I am doing it lightly because I don't want, when I go over with my water, I don't want too many heavy pencil marks left behind. I do want it to be quite blended, so I'm just doing it quite.
It's a good trick, this.
This is the rubbing technique, you know, when you were at school and you used to have to do pencil and crayon rubbings over bark and pennies and things like that. So just nice and lightly. And we just build these colours up all down our page.
Because you're so correct. If you did this super hard, you would get so much more lines when you add your water to this and sort of blend it out. This is going to look super cute.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it doesn't fail me.
I wonder what people's favourite Prism product is to use. You'll have to let us know in the comments. What is your favourite Prism product out of all of our Prism products? What's your go-to when you're sort of stamping or colouring? Is it the craft markers, the brush pens, the inks? Because you can colour with your inks. It's an amazing thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Or is it your pencils? Lots of love for the pencils already.
The pencils are just, every time I use them I find something different to do with them. They're so amazing true. Because you think they're just a pencil, but obviously you can use them for watercolour backgrounds like we're doing now. You watercolour colouring in anything with water because that's what they're designed for. But then you've also got.
Do you know what I love, which you do actually?
I think you're going to say what I'm going to say.
You say it, but I absolutely love this technique you do.
Is for colouring in on craft card.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was that the one I was thinking?
It wasn't actually. It wasn't. You do another amazing technique with these. Craft card looks incredible. We had a card somewhere actually in here that has craft card. Let me see if I can find it. Craft card's another one. Black card
Yes.
also looks amazing.
And I think it's because something in the pigment, because the watercolour pencil makes them stand up
Yes.
much better.
It doesn't sort of sink into the cardstock, does it? The colour sits on top, so you can colour onto craft card. I've got one I'll show you just after Kat finishes this demo. But you do an incredible technique, and you do it when you're colouring in animals.
Yes.
So Kat will colour with her craft markers. She will get that sort of really nice definition and tone that you saw her get when she coloured in her sloths, and it looks amazing. But then what she does is she goes over with her pencils to create like a fur effect, and it's absolutely incredible. So just not using these two things separately, but bring them together because they work such a dream. And I think that's a statement that you could say for all of our Prism products. You can use the inks with your pens, you can use the pens with your pencils, you can mix them all together to create beautiful, beautiful things.
So as you can see, we're just layering these colours and we're running them through each other, and I've just got one of our water brushes and I'm just gently squeezing. I'm not letting out too much water, but I'm pulling the colours through each other as well, because we want that nice blended effect. We don't want it to...
It looks like a sky when, like a summer's night sky.
Yeah.
When it just sort of sits above the hills or the top of the houses, and you've got those different sort of light red colours coming through.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing what you can create with colour?
It is.
It's honestly one of my favourite things about crafting.
So we'll just build this up, and like you said, we're just nice and rough at the edges. We're not... This is a bit more of an abstract card, but we like that sometimes, don't we?
Sometimes it's nice to not be so particular.
Absolutely. So I'm just letting a little bit more water out now as I go around the edges, just to blur everything.
And you can see how that's happening, can't you?
Yeah. And this is, in fact, if you do it using rainbow colours, it's such a pretty technique. So, I think I'm happy with that now.
It looks so pretty.
Just a little bit more down here, but you get the idea. So, because I'm wanting to stamp on top of this now, I'm just going to give it a quick blast with the heat gun to get it nice and dry. Doesn't take too long. Just don't make sure you're not holding it too close to your cardstock. You don't want to burn anything.
You don't want any water.
I think you're there. You can just touch it and feel like it's nice and dry. Give it a little bend and it'll go back into shape, and when you stick it down it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to take our beautiful poppy stamp from our layering stamp set that we all had absolutely so much fun with.
I know, and you know what, these have sold out so many times, and we have brought these back for you time and time again. There is very limited numbers of these stamps left. I know because I counted them this morning. So if you are someone who missed out on these the first time and you think, oh my God, they're back, I need to get this stamp, then get onto the website right now. They're also on an offer of £10 each. So there are 4 different ones to choose from. But this is the most beautiful poppy layering stamp.
And what I'm doing with this, because our background is so colourful, I'm going to build it up and layer it up in shades of grey and black.
Oh.
Just to add that.
Now it's really going to look like a sunset.
Yeah. So I'm going in with Thundercloud on my biggest one, and it doesn't really look like it's coming off there, but I promise you
I can see it.
And this is our base layer. So you might only just be able to see it when we pop it on, but I promise you it's there. So we're just going to pop that down, and as soon as it hits your card, you can see that there's some payoff there. So make sure that's nice and pressed down all over, and that's our first layer. And even that gives quite a
it's a very nice effect.
So we'll take him off and we'll go with our next layer. And this time I'm going to use the slate grey. Good coverage all over.
So we have a really cool deal on our Prism Shimmer ink pad collection coming up. However, all of our ink pads are original ones that Kat's using now. Those black ink pads, you can buy them. They're normally £2.50 each, but you can now get them for £1.68 each. So our individual ink pads, maybe you've got a colour that is sort of running out a little bit, or it's not as vibrant as it used to be, then you can stock up on those single colours. They're now £1.68 each.
And there's our second layer, so you can just see the little bits of the lighter grey still poking through.
It's
and
so nice.
Our third layer is this one down here, and this time we're going to go in with our midnight black. And you could create your own kind of like, what they called, where you have 3 pictures, a triplicate, something like that.
Yes.
If you had do them exactly the same but with 3 different colour backgrounds and set them all up in a row, that would look really, so really pretty. So
I always watch those videos actually, where people are like painting images and they've got those separate backgrounds.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
So we'll pop you over the top. Let's build it up one more time. And then for our last layer of the main flower, I'm going to take our VersaFine just to get that really, really dark black crisp layer to our top.
I love this already.
Pop this on, line it up. Of course you can do this on your stamping press if you want, but I'm winging it today.
I think sometimes, especially when you're doing lots of layers like this and you're changing your colour out, sometimes it is easier to use a stamping block, and it's purely is just down to different people's perspectives, because they might really find it so much easier to use your stamping press, and you know when you use your stamping press it's going to be perfect. If you miss out some colours, you're going to be able to add to it, but this just gives you a little bit more freedom, I think.
It really does. So I'm going to take the really, really long stem now. And have I got a slightly longer stamping block? I don't think I have, so I'm going to cheat. So let me see which way I want my stem to go. That way. We have got the middle of the flower to do. I have jumped ahead. I will go back to that shortly. So I'm going to go in with my middle grey, which was my thunder. No, it wasn't. It was slate grey. And I've changed my mind as I'm doing it. I'm going to go for the midnight black. So because I'm not using the whole of this stamp, it's okay if it runs off the edge a bit. I'll just line this up with the flower and pop that down.
Aren't these stamps just incredible?
They're so cute.
This looks so pretty with the colours that you've used and that really nice sort of sunset background you've created. But you can imagine just how amazing it's also going to look in the array of different colours we've got in our ink pad collection. You can mix all of your blues together, create some beautiful arrangements, because there's so many different flower options as well that you can use. All of the pinks look absolutely amazing. We've got the yellows through to the oranges and the reds. It's just such a beautiful way to get into using your ink pads more as well, I think.
Absolutely, and it's great as well for doing your first and your second generation stamping as well, to build up the colours that way with them, so you get a much more subtler effect as you're building up your flower. We're just building up our centre. And I think my next step is the leaves, and that's what really makes this poppy come to life. And just pop him in the centre.
It reminds me of pop art a little bit as well, these stamps.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we've got these two gorgeous leaves. So I'm taking the thick one first, and I'm going to do that in our midnight black for my base layer. This is what makes all the difference. So we pop them up the side of the flower here.
It's such a big leaf, isn't it?
It is, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then we take the one with the finer detail. And you know, if I was doing this again, sorry, I've gone to the wrong one, I'm going to go first fine. For the centre of my stamp there, for the centre of my flower, when I do this again, I think I will do that with a first mark and some black embossing powder. I think that would really make it pop, just looking at it now. So line the flower up, sorry, the leaf up over the top. And I think the beauty of these, because it's quite an abstract card anyway, if you are a little bit off, it just adds to the effect. It's not...
I'm back on Facebook. The iPad was playing up, but we're back.
Oh no.
We're back on. So let's have a look at what your favourites are. Oh, we've got brush markers, watercolour pencils. Hazel's given us a really good tip.
Go on.
The queen of colouring. Spritzing with fine water also will give you a beautiful blending effect.
Yes.
Very true. And I love that for if I'm creating sort of like an underwater scene as well, because it gives you that look of like bubbles.
Yes. So we'll just go in with our stamp. I think here, thinking of you.
Linda said, I've never seen this technique before. Thank you for doing this demo. And Ruth Ann is loving the background.
Oh. And I think I'm just going to edge it with a little bit of black just to bring it all in.
Oh,
so
it looks amazing.
Just to make it pop from the card blank a bit.
It looks so pretty.
And my construction glue. And cards like this, you can really tell that they are handmade. You know somebody has put that extra bit of special time and effort when you're using
like you
techniques
say,
like this.
if you were to do like a set of 3 here, you could do these in frames and have them as home decor projects. You know, stamps, there's so much more that you can do with stamps. You can get so creative with them. You could make key rings if you use shrink plastic. You can home decor projects, stamping onto fabrics. They're incredible tools, and they're so versatile in crafting.
There we go.
Look at that, absolutely stunning. It genuinely looks like just one poppy floating in a field with the most beautiful sunset behind it. And you can create things like this with our Prism products, which are all on offer for you, including the next 12 days of our 12 Days of Christmas promotion. Next up, we have our complete Shimmer ink pad collection. So you're going to get 36 ink pads. They're all here in these bags for you. All of the colours that we have included in our Prism ink pad range, but with a beautiful, really light shimmer touch to it. And I've got one here just to show you exactly what I mean. So our Prism ink pads, they come like this. Let's zoom it in on the close-up cam. They are clear and white base, which is how you can tell the difference from our Shimmer ink pads to our normal ink pads that Kat was using, because they are black base. They are the most juiciest ink pads you've ever seen, and you can see right now sort of that glimmer and shine shimmering off that base of our ink pad. They are super juicy, really comfortable to use again. So if you're sort of like swiping across a page with these or creating ombre backgrounds with these, you're going to be able to do that. Again, these are a water-based ink pad, so perfect for crafting with your kids, perfect for blending with, perfect for adding water and colouring it in that way. Another fantastic product that I don't think really gets the recognition it deserves sometimes.
No, not at all.
They're amazing to use. You can use these just to stamp your images with. You can use these to colour your images with. You can create the most beautiful backgrounds, and they don't even, sometimes the backgrounds you create don't even look like you've used ink pads, because the colour and the finish that these give to your cards are incredible. You can get all 36 for £39.99. What an amazing deal that is. But like I said, if you're just wanting a few colours here and there, then our original collection of colours are now £1. Let me double check it. £1.68. So if you're just missing out on a few colours, or you're wanting to refresh your stash, then you can do that with these amazing offers. What I wanted to show you as well is, we were talking about this while Kat was doing her last demonstration, is using your watercolour pencils on your craft card. This was a card that we made with our last free gift, and we used these to create this beautiful wreath with our stamp. So we coloured it and heat embossed it in a copper embossing powder, and then we've gone over it with your colours. But look how much it stands off that background and really makes that card look beautiful. You can do this with craft cards, you can do this with black card, you can do this on your matte tastics as well, because no matter what colour it is, your pencils will stand up above it. So it's a really good thing to use. And then another thing to show you is that on our website, as part of our 12 days of Christmas, we're doing tutorials with all of the products that we're putting on offer for you to go on and have a look at. I've created 2 cards that you're going to be able to know exactly how to make using our ink pads and using our brush marker pens. So they are going to be up on our YouTube today, so you can head over, have a look at those and see some more amazing things that you can do with our Prism products. However, we're going to go straight back over to Kat, because she's got one last demonstration. And what we're using this time?
We are using a bit of our Shimmer inks,
Okay.
a little bit of craft markering and some craft card.
Oh.
And combining that with our beautiful autumn day stamps.
Let's do it.
Okay. So first up, I am going to take some of our craft card, and I am cutting 3 squares, 4 squares. Let me count. So I'm starting with 5 inches by 5 inches.
And that's going to be the base.
And this is going to be our base section. Yep. And then I want a 4 inch by 4 inch. I'm going to layer these up. Can you guess what size we're doing next?
3.
Yeah! 3 inch by 3 inch. And to finish, a 2 inch by 2 inch. Get all the cutting done and out of the way. So they're all cut and ready done for us. We'll get our scrap bits out the way. So let's start with our biggest one first. And I'm going to bring in our lovely autumn day stamp set, and I'm going to go with the largest pine cone that we've got here. I'm going to pop that onto my stamping block, and I'm going to take our lovely roasted coffee. Oh, I've got the lids mixed up.
Oh, that would have been disastrous.
Roasted coffee, Prism Shimmer inks, and I'm going to stamp all over this. Well, I'm not really going to stamp all over it, because we're obviously going to be layering up our cardstock. I only really need to make sure I'm getting the outside edges. So, you know me, I love stamping off the edge, but just make sure you're coming further enough in that you've not got too many gaps when you're coming round. You still want to alternate every single time the direction that your pine cones go in and how much is coming off the page and how much is staying on.
I think everyone's getting into the Christmas spirit now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And again, this is a beautiful stamp set which you can create some really nice sort of Christmas themed cards with. It's very autumnal, but think about just adding some sort of like white gel pen to the edges of those pine cones.
Yes.
You've instantly got Christmas.
You have 100%. And I might just be doing that a little bit here. Yeah, just a touch. Just a touch.
Have you got the tree up already?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went up last night. Ready for the boys getting their advent calendars this morning.
We haven't got ours up yet. I think it will be this weekend probably. Because Dan woke up this morning and wasn't feeling very well. I think he's got the winter cold that everyone is getting at the moment. So maybe at the weekend I'll persuade him to take me shopping and get a tree. I think everyone is super more excited for Christmas this year, just because I think it's a possibility of being able to spend it with people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. After last year, definitely.
And have you been making any handmade things for Christmas? Because you always go crazy for any occasion in your house. So.
Not for myself. I've been making a couple of little gifts for the people in the office.
Oh.
But that is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so you can just make sure, pop your other layer on and make sure that you're happy with how that's distributed around the edges there. And just to give a little bit more definition, I'm going to go in with a craft marker. Now this one, it's not really to add any specific colour, it's just to darken up the background that's in the pine cones. So you can see it's a really light colour, but once you add it to your craft card, it just enhances the natural colour of the craft card, but doesn't bleed away the marker that's underneath. So.
And obviously, like we said earlier on, you can use our Prism inks because they're water-based, so you can use them with your craft markers for this type of technique.
So we'll just colour a couple of these in just to give you the look that we're after, and then I'll do my bring in my white gel pen that I promised, because like I said, this is an autumn days set, but I'm using it to make a Christmas card, that kind of.
You can, they're so sort of like versatile, aren't they? You can use any stamp for any occasion and make it work.
So we'll just finish off this little one here, and you can imagine the rest done. And then I'm going to go in with my white gel pen, and I'm just going to add some little white dots randomly around the outsides where you're going to see. And this will make more sense when I bring in the finished layer shortly. So you get the idea. Just do that all the way around. So when I've finished that layer, it will look something like this. What I've also done is just use my brown ink pad just to edge around the edges, and I'll show you that on the next layer. So that's that layer done. So we move on to our 4-inch layer, and this time I'm going to take this beautiful like fern leaf. Well, it's not a fern, but like bristly kind of leaf that we've got. And pop this on my ink pad. And now we're going to go in with the gorgeous rainforest green. And we're just going to do exactly the same thing again, making sure that we're going around all the edge of this cardstock with this one. And this one does all the work for you, no colouring in to do afterwards. Just take this round, keep inking it up each time.
It's so pretty.
And the colour payoff you get, even on the craft card, is absolutely stunning. Just make sure you're using different bits of your stamp to do the edges, to get that really natural kind of look. And bring it in a bit more this way.
Heather is loving the Shimmer ink pads.
They're gorgeous.
They are absolutely stunning. Hazel says, is craft card back in stock yet?
Oh.
I think it might be.
We've been looking, haven't we?
We have every single time.
Will you back up that I have genuinely been asking for it and that I'm not just playing
every
it
single
off.
day. But it is. You can shop our craft card here. Let's see. Is it in stock? Oh, the Superior stamping craft card. Yep. Back in stock. Yep. There we go, Kat.
There we go.
You're going home with some
craft card. I will get some, I promise. Right, last little bit we'll stick in here.
Lots of people have got their Christmas tree up, which is the best thing. Tracy's finished her last Christmas card. She only had 5 to make though. You're doing better than me because I've not even started. Jackie said, I've started stamping more since I've got my stamping press. I wonder how many other crafters out there have started stamping more since they got their stamping press. I think when we brought the stamping press out, it sort of revolutionised stamping and it made people feel a lot more comfortable with stamping as a whole.
Yes.
I think so much more of our viewers have been doing that since we brought out that stamping press, and it's so much more convenient. It makes you feel so much more confident and like it's not gonna mess up, it's not gonna not stamp. So it is a really great tool, and if you haven't had the privilege of using it, then definitely look out for it, because it might show up at some point this week. Who knows?
Ooh, sneak peeks. So I've just laid that up onto there.
I love this.
And we move on to our next layer.
It's like a winter wonderland already.
So our 3-inch section, just let me clean up my stamping blocks because I'm making a mess as I go along.
It's the best thing about crafting and stamping, making that mess.
So I'm going to keep my green one because I'm going to be using that again at the end for my sentiment. So just take that one off. And now we're going to go in with my smaller pine cone. And we're just going to do exactly the same that we did before. So I'll just do this really quickly for you. So we're going back in with the roasted coffee. And we're just doing this all around the edges, just like before.
We've got a mix of people here. We've got some people that haven't even started. Don't worry, there is still time to do it. Lots of time indeed. And then there's some people who have completely finished and they're getting on to writing them. But like I said, there's so many people that have started stamping because of their stamping press. Everyone is absolutely loving it.
I think sometimes people are scared with the amount of time stamping Christmas cards will take, but if you keep them really simple,
it's true, and you can do that.
Like those little fun stamps, one of them in the corner, coloured in with the sentiment.
You're away.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the more simple stamping cards are the most beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just stamp that round and you colour it in exactly the same as you did before, and we're going to add the little white dot details back to this one like we did on the other one.
It's so pretty.
And again, just ink your edges. And I do think this detail just really adds.
Oh, it so does.
Yeah.
And especially when you're layering it up like you have done, it lifts the edges off each other.
It does.
And creates that sort of dimension. But also, I think on these 2 layers that you've done here, it's kind of an optical illusion, because it actually looks like the layer that has all the leaves on is sort of like in the middle of that section.
It does. So we'll pop this one back in the centre there. And then our last layer is going to be our little sentiment. So pop that to the side, we bring this in, and for our sentiment I've pinched our Christmas blessings of our beautiful angel here. It just worked. Of all the stamps that we have, this one just spoke to me. So clean up my block. You on there, and we're going to go in with the roasted coffee again. And I'm going to pop this down towards the bottom because I'm going to add some of that leaf detail back in at the top just to bring it all together. So we'll pop you down there, and then we'll go back to our leaf.
I absolutely loved watching these demos today. They've all been so inspiring and also different. The techniques have been incredible. I think people at home are definitely going to have fun trying out some of these ideas that Kat's done on today's show.
I hope so. That's what it's about.
It is.
So just that over the top. I'm going to edge the edges again.
And because you've used your Shimmer ink pads as well, it's just going to add that little extra sparkly Christmas touch.
It's really hard to pick up in the lights here, but it just gives you that little bit of extra something. And we'll add this one on foam pads just to give it that extra pizzazz. And then I'm going to be quite indulgent, and even though this is only 5x5 size, I'm going to pop it on to a 6x6 card, and that really chunky white border really makes it pop. So we'll pop that in the centre.
This is so cute. I feel like I might just make all my Christmas cards like this.
I think it's time for me to invest in a new construction glue because it's getting towards the end of the bottle. There we go. Bring in our card base. Pop this on here.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really brings it to life, that big chunky white border. And it really makes those little white dots that we put in.
Yeah, you can properly see them now. Wow.
And let's just make some space.
I love that.
And there we go.
Absolutely incredible. I've loved watching you make that. That is so nice. And again, another thing that you can be making with some of the fantastic offers we have on our Prism collections that have launched today as part of our 12 days of Christmas. So go ahead and shop online at hunkydorycrafts.co.uk for all of your Prism goodies at some incredible prices. I'm going to repeat the Winning Weekly question just for those who didn't quite catch it earlier on. We are giving away the full Moonstone Minis Holly Jolly initials. You're going to get the full alphabet, the ampersand, and you're also going to get this incredible stamp set that works along with it. Perfect for making table placements for Christmas, all those little extra elements that you want to finish things off with. The question this week is, which company is the largest toy distributor in the world? Is it A, McDonald's, B, Smith's, or C, Hamleys? So get your answers in to be in with a chance of winning that incredible gift. All that's left to tell you is that we have an amazing show with Pauline tonight at 7:30 on Create and Craft. She's going to be bringing you our Eastern Wishes collection again at an incredible deal, so make sure you don't miss out on that one. And then we're going to add our Christmas Quotables pad, which is another item which would really work perfectly with your Prism collections and stamps, because they have the most beautiful foiled sentiments, and all you could do here is sort of ink a beautiful sort of halo around these, add them onto a bigger card, maybe a little bit of ribbon just to finish them off. They are just truly beautiful. If you want this, you can get that on the website as well. It's a really beautiful product. We'll add that to the rollover box. Someone might win that this week, who knows. And then I, myself and Kelly will be here on Friday for day 3 of our 12 days of Christmas. So make sure you tune in to find what else is on offer, and you are being very looking around tomorrow for what is available on our day 2 for our 12 days of Christmas. I'm sure there'll be lots of emails about that. But have a lovely rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you back here on Friday for another day of Christmas fun.